Hey guys, welcome back to Londhunz. I'm Cloud, one of the Huns, and I'm doing my first ever solo video today. So that's basically what the channel's going to be about. We're going to do our own solo things on there as well as like collab as a house. I started trying to record this video as like a review and get ready with me, and I just could not cope. I can't do more than two things at once. I mean, I was like doing my makeup, talking to the camera, looking at my notes, trying to review the show.
I wasn't in the right headspace, and when I got there I just thought, nah, this is not for me.
So I've just gotten ready and I'm going to keep things simple and just talk to you about Queen of the South. Season 5 I believe is coming out on the 7th of April, so I thought I'd do a little review on it. So for those who don't know Queen of the South, I'm just going to put a warning up saying there are going to be loads and loads of spoilers. Queen of the South is basically about a woman called Teresa Mendoza. She is in a romantic relationship with this guy called Guero. I can't pronounce names, BT dubs. I'm gonna absolutely butcher all of these names. He gets killed. He's like quite high up in this cartel. He works for Epifanio, who you'll later meet in the series. He's like the big boss. So they killed him because apparently he was stealing money. That's kind of what I understood anyway. So apparently he was stealing money. The cartel kill him, and Teresa is running for her life. She has to endure loads and loads of horrible things, and her life is literally so bad at this point. So you've got the cartel leader Epifanio, and then you've got his wife Camilla, who runs the cartel in Texas, and then she ends up working for Camilla. Epifanio and Camilla have this weird dynamic going on where they basically have rival cartels, but it's the same cartel. They hate each other but also love each other. I think they like get off on it. So I hope I explained the little synopsis well enough for you. Season 1 I thought was an amazing season. It's a great way to start the show. I was hooked on every single moment of it. It's been a long time where I've watched a show where it doesn't try and be too clever. It's just like, we are here to entertain you, and that's what I love about it so much. What I really loved about the first season, I'm really sorry, like honestly, I live on a main road and there's just constant cars like being annoyed with each other. Nobody knows how to drive. So what I really loved about the show is how they started it off. It was like very Shakespearean vibes, where they tell you basically what's going to happen before you even start the series. In the first episode, we know she becomes the Queen of the South, and we know she dies. She dies straight away. So many like hidden clues, which I'll get to later on, but it's, oh my god, I thought there was a fly there. We meet a few characters in this. We obviously meet Teresa, Epifanio, Camilla, and then we also meet James. He's Camilla's right-hand man, and he has to look after Teresa as she gets mixed up in this drug world. He just seems very like cold-hearted. I didn't really take much notice of him in the first half of this series because I just thought he was rude. And I just thought, oh, all you are is just guns, drugs and guns, and that's it. Little did I know I was wrong. What I really love about Queen of the South as well is that it takes its time. So I don't think she even becomes queen till like the end of season 3. First season, you're like shocked at how kind of slow it is, but in a good way, because she's barely done anything really. She's just tried to survive. Season 1 ends with the best cliffhanger. Spoiler alert, Guero is alive, and he's been with the DEA agent this whole time, and I've literally never, not for a long time, have I sat up in my chair and been like, what? Oh, and also R.I.P. Brenda. Season 1, gotta be one of my favorite seasons. 10 out of 10 would watch it again. It is amazing, keeps you on your toes every single time. Now season 2 is one of my favorites because that's when you really start to see some character development, especially in Porte. I think I pronounced his name right. Porte, you get to meet Guero some more. James starts to become more of a human. James is amazing, and you start to see a real relationship for the first time develop between Teresa and James, and that is where my obsession starts. I love the couple so much. They are my favourite couple. I want them to get married and have babies. I think they are amazing. I just love the tension that the series builds between Teresa and James, and they just let it build for quite a long time. I find the cult quite hard to follow. The cult episodes, they were very confusing, but I just think it added to the dynamic of the weirdness of the show. I have to say, I think by the end of season 2 I became way more invested in James and Teresa than the actual show itself, and I think looking at comments online and stuff, I think a lot of people are on that vibe too. I like Gretel and I think he had a very good redemption in it, but he's just not James. Makes me want a man like James, but then I would have to find someone in a cartel, and I'm not about that life. So the final episode of season 2 is just so dramatic because obviously Teresa kills Epifanio and then Gwen and James have a standoff, and it's a whole thing. Because I find that with a lot of TV shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine with Jake and Amy, they did that so well where they didn't get together for about 2 seasons, and then when they did get together, that was it. And it was like, oh, and that's it, they're together now, and it's like, well, that's boring, there's no tension anymore. So I really didn't want them to ruin that tension between Teresa and James. I really like the fact that they let it build and they don't really ever get them together, not until season 3 anyway. So it's all really, really good. Teresa's like powerful, she runs to Malta living her life. You're like, what's gonna happen now? Camilla's angry because Teresa just single-handedly beat a business up. It's like everything's great. I'm ready for season 3. But yeah, season 2 up there. I think it's my favorite season of the whole lot. Now season 3 is where we really see Teresa glowing. She's got her power suit on. Every time she wears them silver hoop earrings, I'm like. And then in season 3 I find that they're constantly naughty teasing us with James. It's like, okay, I'm dying here, I need them to get together. It did worry me in the first episode because James hadn't been in it, and I was like, oh my god, if James isn't in this anymore, I'm gonna stop myself from watching it because it's just not worth it. And luckily he comes up right at the very end of episode 1. He comes in the car and he's like, get in now, and she's like, ugh. And it's like, oh my god, James is here to save the day, and it's amazing. Most favorite scene in season 3 is when Teresa's held at gunpoint with this guy that wants to kill, I think, one of Camilla's men, and then James sweeps in, breaks the glass and pushes him out the way, and I'm like, I literally die. It was so heroic and it just made me love James even more. I need a James in my life, honestly I do. He just can't be in a drug cartel. And that's the thing, I don't know where I'm gonna find a James who's not in a drug cartel. I basically want James, just not an illegal James. I want a James with, like, you know, a nice job, not breaking the law. But I just feel like I'm not gonna get those things, because I know if I met a James in real life I'd be like, ugh. What I also love about this season is that we find out a lot about Potter's life. He literally risked his life for Teresa. I mean, he almost died for her. That's when I really started to love him. I absolutely fell in love with Potter. I didn't want anything bad to happen to him. I found it funny in season 3 with Teresa, after like spending, I don't know, 6 months in Malta with Potter, she's finally like, oh, so tell me about your life. And it's like, so sorry about the bibbing. You're only just asking about his life and you've literally been on a boat with him for like 5 months. I don't know. So I have to say, in season 3 I fully love King George. I feel like King George just commits himself to Teresa. I think what the show really needed was a comedian at that point, and he just is the jester of the show. King George is one of my favourites. I knew that when King George was there I was gonna have a good time. Do you know what I mean? He is a really great character. Okay, so there's the thing I want to rant about with this season. So James and Teresa finally get together, and it's the moment we've all been waiting for. They're kind of in a relationship. Teresa's kind of like to Potter, oh, what do you think about James? And he's like, he would die for you. And it's just like, that is so cute because he doesn't even rate James that much. We finally get together, and honestly it was the most underwhelming thing I've ever seen in my life. I remember in season 2 when they kissed in the forest, but it was all in her head. She was in that cult thing, they were putting her under loads of stuff and she was experiencing these visions.
Sally.
I just thought that for me was the perfect way to finally have them in a relationship. But instead in season 3 they sleep together and it's like, oh, boring. I was pretty disappointed, I can't lie. I just felt like all the tension was built up, and maybe in a sense they might have built up the tension for too long. It was disappointing, but I still rooted for them. I did not ever not root for them. I love James and Teresa, love them both as a couple. I just wish it was executed better. That's my only critique. And here's the other thing. We've got to the end of season 3. It's amazing. It's good, but it's not as good as the other seasons. Season 3 ends with James working for Devon. Teresa's like, let's work together, let's be partners. James is like, no, because James has to do whatever he needs to do for Devon. He does that to protect Teresa, which I think is a really nice sentiment. But at the end of the day, if James is not in Queen of the South, I'm not watching it. Why do I live for the show so much? Like, don't get me wrong, if Teresa leaves, I'm not watching it either. They both need to be there. That's why season 3 was a bit of a disappointing one with the ending, just because James leaves. And I feel like if James didn't leave, then it would have been perfect. But I was constantly worried that James was never going to come back. So me and my friend Melisa, after we watched season 3, I was like, I don't know if I continue with this anymore. She was like, I don't know either. And so we read all of the descriptions for season 4 episodes, and none of them mentioned James. I'm like, right, I'm gonna have to Google it. I mean, it will contain spoilers, but if James is not in it, I'm not watching it.
Sorry guys, I'm not doing it.
Obviously we find out he appears right at the end of season 4. Apparently the actor didn't want to be in it anymore. Apparently he wanted to focus on other projects. That's what I read up online. And then he had some time spent. He was like, yeah, I'm in town, I'll be in Queen of the South again. And they were like, yeah, sure, we'll use you in the last scene. That's great, we've always wanted you back. And so that's why he's in the very, very last scene. Not impressed. They should have had him in a binding contract where he can't leave. Season 3, amazing, would be perfect, would be up there with season 1 and 2 if James didn't leave. Season 4, I don't actually write a lot of notes for, because if I'm honest, season 4 just wasn't for me because James wasn't in it. That's the tea. Felt like season 4 had more of a spin-off vibe to it. I just felt like I was watching the Queen of New Orleans. It was good, and in a way I wish that was the first season, because it was a very good standalone season. So many twists, so many turns, great storyline, but it just wasn't up there with the first 3 seasons. I missed my Mexican cartel. Now we're in New Orleans, I'm like, I don't know who these people are. Yeah, it felt like a spin-off. It wasn't as good. If James was in it, would I have thought it was perfect? Yes, but he wasn't, and that's what really ruined the season for me. It was still very good though. I wish season 4 and season 1 swapped, in the sense of like, don't make us fall in love with James and then not have him in season 4. Luckily, he appears right at the end of season 4 and he's come in bloody and everything, and I'm really intrigued to find out what's happened to him. I also love how they got rid of all of Teresa's love interests so they can bring back James and they can definitely get together. Season 4 was still really good. I just think it was James for me. I'm just attached. I'm obsessed. And my final thoughts on the series as a whole is that I think the series is amazing. If you love action, romance, thriller, suspense, cartel, gang, dramas, you're going to absolutely love this. It contains all of that, and just every single episode that goes on, you're just like, I need to find out what happens. Relationships, the character building is just amazing. I think overall it is one of the best series I've ever watched. Once we finish season 5, I'm gonna leave it a year and then rewatch it so I can try and forget what happens in it, so I can feel the same emotions I felt the first time I was watching it. Yeah, if I had to order my seasons in like what are my favorites, I would say season 2 is at the top, then it goes to season 1, then season 3, and season 4. So that's my ranking of the seasons. It's so refreshing to see how she goes from the absolute gutter, bottom of the barrel, to the very top, Queen of the South. I think the show is just amazing. It's lovely that it's done with a woman as well. So let's move on to predictions. So predictions for season 5. They've said it's the last season. They're not doing any more Queen of the South. And that to me is just heartbreaking, because I could probably watch it for like 10 seasons or 20 seasons, I don't care. But knowing now that it is the last season, I need James and Teresa together. I don't care if that's a realistic prediction or not, I just need them together. And if they're not together, I'm gonna be extremely upset. My prediction is that I think James might die. I think he might die midway through season 5. I know they're doing only 10 episodes, so he'll die episode 5. I think Teresa will be there when he dies. I think she'll be very, very upset, but she'll still be doing the whole Queen of the South thing. I don't know if she'll be back in Mexico again. I hope she is, or like back in Texas, because I did like it. I felt like that was a very homely setting for me. So I rewatched the first 5 minutes of the pilot, and that contains so many spoilers. So she comes out of the plane. Porter is still alive because he's behind her on the plane. Don't know who the other 3 or 4 are, but clearly she's got an army behind her. And it's so interesting because they zoom into her tattoo and I'm like, oh, we didn't see that coming. It's crazy how they kind of planned all of these things to happen. It's an ambulance. It's a lot. So we know last season, we know Teresa dies. How I would really like her to die, if that's even a sentence. I would be interested to see Isabella be the one that kills her. It's a sniper that's on her, so that's how she dies. So Isabella might have ordered a hit on her. I feel like it would be fitting for Isabella to kill her because Teresa basically ruined her life. So I feel like if someone's got to kill her, it's got to be her. Do you remember in one of the episodes in either season 2 or 3, Teresa's laying in bed? I think she's just had a passionate night with someone and she just picks up the gun and shoots them. I really hope that's not James. I feel like this show has so many twists and turns, it is hard to predict exactly what happens. I hope Camilla makes a return. I don't know if she will. What I will say though, if she gets shot, I wonder if she'll survive that. Because I feel like she's survived a lot so far. A car's blown up next to her. She's fallen from buildings. She's been shot at numerous of times. She's survived a lot of stuff. It wouldn't surprise me if she survived the bullet, but it's going to be the last one, so I feel like she will definitely die, which is sad. And that's my video. So I really hope you enjoyed this review and prediction moment. I think if I find any more TV shows that kind of capture my heart the way that Queen of the South did, I'm sure I will do more reviews on them. If you like them, let me know. If you hate them, don't say it to my face, please, because that will hurt my feelings. I know the Huns are also making their own videos, so don't forget to check them out. I don't know when Queen of the South comes out. I know that it comes out on the 7th of April, but I believe that's just for the US. Maybe I'll do a review of Queen of the South season 5, we'll see. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a good rest of day. I'll see you soon.